Well, thank you for being here, Mr. Blair. Would you like us to tell us something about yourself?
Sure. What would you like to know?
When were you born?
1947. I'm really a baby boomer, born just after the Second World War ended.
And where was that?
Bethesda, Maryland.
Oh, nice.
Out near Washington, D.C.
What do you enjoy doing in your free time?
Lots of stuff. I'm a pilot, so I fly sometimes just for enjoyment. Play guitar a little bit, not well, but I enjoy it. Reading, movies, martial arts, all sorts of stuff.
When you chose the profession of science, what was your inspiration to go into that field?
Actually, I didn't go into science. I went into engineering. Okay, and there's a difference there. I think of science as going out and discovering new things, whereas engineering is working with things you already know and building things and stuff like that. And in fact, my first job was not science, it was computers, doing programming and such, and that's considered a software engineer. So what got me interested in it was I was just good at it. And my first job was actually in France, and I didn't speak French. And so it kind of limited my possibilities, and it turns out I knew how to program, so I just got an engineering job over there.
That's good. You ever want to pursue any other field besides engineering?
Well, I did, in the sense that I started off by being in software engineering and then moved into marketing management. I got an MBA here in Santa Clara, and went into marketing and worked for National Semiconductor for many years as a strategic marketing manager there. And then I went into management of a small company, a startup, where I was the president and chief operating officer there. So I've done a variety of things.
Would you like your students to follow you into engineering or science or anything like that?
I would like my students to find something they're passionate about and follow it. In other words, what interests me doesn't necessarily interest them or was necessarily good for them.
Right. When you were in high school and middle school and elementary school, when you were a child receiving your education, what was your favorite subject? What really engrossed your focus the most?
I wasn't very good academically until I got into the later years of middle school, and then my grades started to pick up and things like that. But I was pretty much good in everything. I was one of those uber nerds, right, that got A's in everything and stuff. So when I actually decided to go to college, I had applications in at 4 different universities, and I still hadn't really decided whether I was going to go into science and engineering, or say get an English degree from Berkeley.
Which colleges or college did you attend?
I went to Caltech for my undergraduate degree and came out with an engineering degree, Bachelor of Science from Caltech. Then worked for many years, and then after about 10 years of being in the workplace, went back and got an MBA at Santa Clara University.
Have any of your previous employments involved the government in any way, and if so, how?
Yes, the company that I was president of, we did some contract work for the Navy for developing acoustical technologies for them. And basically we were selling them, what would it be, technology in the form of intellectual property and some applications of it. The idea was sort of, if you're flying an airplane and you hear a missile warning, it would be nicer if you heard the warning come from the direction that the missile was at, so that you could turn your head to see where the missile was. So the sound itself would tell you where the threat was.
Whenever you've worked with the government or had any interface with them, would you describe the interaction as favorable and enjoyable, or something to be avoided?
We found that the Navy personnel who were managing our contracts were very, very good. They knew their stuff. They were very knowledgeable. It was a pleasure working with them. They were very professional.
When you attended Caltech and Santa Clara, what would you describe your experience at both of those universities and overall feelings from when you were there?
Caltech was overwhelming in the sense that it's a very, very concentrated educational experience. It's a very small school. It's much smaller than this high school. Okay, there were only 780 undergraduates at Caltech, and 4 Nobel Prize winners and things like that on the staff teaching. But everybody there was really smart. I said, you know, I was the uber nerd in high school, and you go to a school like Caltech, and they told us something during freshman orientation which was very telling. They said, look around you, half of you are below average. And it was to bring to our attention the fact that we were no longer, you know, the top of the cream, you know, like we were in high school. Everybody that was there was the top of the cream, and if you take that as now the group that you're comparing yourself to, by definition, half of us were below average.
So kind of to change the grading curve in a way?
It just, they expected more from us.
So,
and it was a
small fish, big pond?
Yeah, but, you know, it was, yeah.
Of all your jobs before you became a teacher, which would you say was either your most memorable or your favorite, and why?
I think it was being president of the small company. It was a very fun time. I was talking to all of the major corporations, semiconductor corporations in the world at that time, and we were selling technology and working very closely with Microsoft, and it was just a very invigorating experience.
When you were president of the company, what exactly did you do, and what was the company about?
The company developed what's been called positional audio, which is using headphones or stereo speakers. You can hear sounds coming from any direction around you in 3 dimensions. And we had developed some technology, actually the company before I joined it had developed some technology working on a NASA contract and had the rights to commercialize it. And so it's been used extensively in games play and things like that now in the personal computer market.
When did you first start teaching?
This is like my 3rd career. Okay, first career was, you know, technoid, software developer. Did that for about 15 years. Second career was marketing management and high tech. And this is the 3rd career. I've only been doing it about 7 years now.
And also, a lot of people say currently the state of American youth and state of technology sector and engineering and science, a lot of American kids are really slipping in that, losing interest. Would you say you see that as true, and what would you say is your opinion and view of that?
I don't know if I can answer that correctly in the sense of, I'm not sure if we're comparing apples to apples when they make those, in the sense of, one of the things about American education system is they sort of guarantee that everybody goes through school. A lot of other countries, they have a system where they redirect students early in their academic career, whereas if they don't show academic ability, they're immediately moved into a trade, okay, and they get trade school instead of academic school with the idea of going on to college. And so I'm not sure who we're being compared with. So
you feel that we're being compared to something like the European system where they'll have liberal arts universities, science universities, and then they'll have trade schools and people are funneled into each?
And yeah, and what I'm saying is that even in the high schools, they start to do that. And the idea then is, are they comparing our general student, which is all of those, against, say, just the students who are more interested in going on to college and such? If that's the case, you're going to find a big difference. I'm not sure if that's the case or not.
And one last question, what would you say about the current United States science sector and economics, and how would you feel that as a country, how do you feel we're doing in that field?
We've got a couple of issues there, one of which is funding of it, which has come up in the past 4 or 5 years with the recession. They're claiming they need to do more in science and math education, yet they fund the schools less and less. Bigger classrooms, fewer teachers. It's kind of working against, odds there. I think we're capable of teaching to the highest standards. I'm not sure that we're able to do it with, the current class loads and such.
And one last thing, with the resurgence of European power and rise of China, would you say still, science-wise, we're still on top, the leader and the innovator?
I show a video to my students during the year. It's called Did You Know?, which talks about, just factoids. And it talks about the size of China and how many people are there and how many students are there. And one of the statements they make is, China has more honors students than we've got students. So if you think of it in terms like that, they've got a pool, if they want to pull out people to go to universities and such, they've got a much bigger pool to pull out the cream of the crop and have many more of those people to put to work to do things. Having said that, I still think that the United States has one of the premier education systems in the world.
Well, thank you for your time. This has been a wonderful interview.
You're very welcome.